An update now on that 13-year-old girl, Jahai McMath. She's been released to her mother and is on her way to another medical facility. This after a huge legal battle with the hospital who wanted to take her off of life support. McMath was declared brain dead after having her tonsils removed last month, and her family's been fighting to keep her alive ever since. Jane Velez-Mitchell, who's been following the story very closely, joins me now. And Jane, this is such a sad, tragic story, but there's a lot of implications here.
Look, it's easy for other people who are not emotionally invested to say, oh, she's brain dead, let's end this. But for the parents, it's so much more than that. This is a very, very emotional, even spiritual decision. And I understand their anguish, especially speaking to the mom. And I also spoke to the grandmother of the child, and she said they saw movements. Now, doctors say, well, those are involuntary muscle movements. But nevertheless, to see the child there, occasionally moving and being told that she's dead, those two things don't necessarily compute. I think that one of the key problems here is that initially they were battling over whether this child was alive or dead with the very hospital that purportedly messed up the very routine surgery tonsillectomy. So had the child initially been moved to another facility, perhaps there wouldn't have been such animus between the two parties debating what to do. But really, you have to ask, well, why should the family trust the hospital that made a very, very severe error with a very routine surgery? On the other hand, unfortunately, there are occasions a segment of routine surgeries go very badly. And the other interesting thing, Vinny, is that this wasn't something where during the surgery she suffered terrible consequences. After the surgery, she appeared normal. She was wide awake. She asked her family for a popsicle, and she seemed okay. And then suddenly she started bleeding profusely, and the family says that the response from the hospital, they claim, was not up to par, and they have a nurse within the family. So I think that this is a terribly tragic situation all around. But for those who we hear reports now that there are people threatening the family. My gosh, they've gone through hell. Let them at least have some serenity as they try to deal with this no-win situation.
Yeah, that is absolutely so cold and absurd to threaten this family who's been through this incredible tragedy that continues. And Jane, I think you hit the nail on the head when you talk about the word trust, because, you bring your child to a facility for relatively routine surgery. We know all surgeries have risks associated with them. But how can you trust anything that they are telling you after this happens? And I think that really is what this is ultimately all about when trying to figure out, what does this family do? Who can they trust?
Absolutely, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern. This is every parent's worst nightmare. And so millions of parents around the country are watching this thinking, oh, my gosh, my child needs to go in for a routine surgery. What do I do? Should I let those consent forms get signed? Because basically you release a lot of your power when you do that. Should I not have an elective surgery? So this was not a life or death surgery. This is a tonsillectomy. That's something that she could have possibly lived without, probably, undoubtedly live without. So it raises a lot of questions. We're going to talk about this tonight. We're soliciting all sorts of comments from folks on Twitter and Facebook, and we're hearing about other horror stories that are coming in left and right. So we're going to bring that to you tonight at 7. I think every parent needs to check this out because, obviously, part of parenting is taking your kids to the hospital when they need to.
Absolutely. Important stuff. Jane Velez-Mitchell, thanks so much, Jane. Appreciate it. Great to see you.